What's up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm here. Jasmine Brand is here.
Yes, I'm
here.
here.
Man, we have a real living icon here with us today. Machel Montano is here. Welcome to Way Up.
Thank you. It's good to be here with these beautiful ladies. Angie, long time.
And listen, so I was reminding Jasmine, we went to the Caribbean Music Awards last year. And first of all, couldn't believe that you were there. But you got your Lifetime Achievement Award there.
Yes.
How did that feel?
It was an awesome, it's a funny feeling to get that so early in your life. I'm saying I'm still young, fresh and green. But I mean, for me, being there, seeing the progress of Caribbean music, and that night, Mighty Sparrow was there. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was really special for that moment because his career really inspired mine. And to see all the young people coming out right now in soca music, you go full circle and understand the impact of your work. So I feel really fortunate to be doing this so long and still relevant, and to do it in New York City. New York is a special place because a lot of our careers, bust in Brooklyn.
I know that's right. Let them know I'm from Brooklyn.
For real.
And that was also amazing for you. I want you to talk about Mighty Sparrow just to give some history of your career, but who Mighty Sparrow is for people listening who may not have that information.
Well, he's the king of Calypso. I mean, everybody would hear Calypso music and know Harry Belafonte and his major record. The first record that ever went gold was called Calypso by Harry Belafonte. But he was feeding off of a lot of Calypsonians like Mighty Sparrow and Lord Kitchener and, the great ones, from back in Trinidad. And Sparrow actually, toured the world, took soca music, popularized it across the globe. He's the king of every genre. He'll sing, sexy songs. He'll sing ballads. He would sing, road marches. So he was the one that everybody was looking up to, and he was a pioneer. So he at a very early age, he took myself and Natasha Wilson, who was a female Calypsonian. We were 9 years old, and he took us on tour.
Isn't that crazy? 9
years
old.
How did he meet you? How was he introduced to you? Like, how did that happen?
He was already in his career at 9.
The funny thing is, I was singing Calypso, and they said, yo, you want to represent for your junior Calypso competition in the country? I did that. And I shot to fame, and a guy came home to my house and said, do you want to open for the Mighty Sparrow and Lord Kitchener at Madison Square Garden?
Wow.
At 9 years old. And I was
Isn't that wild?
I was like, yeah.
I know your family was like, now hold on. We don't.
No,
do you remember, like, how much do you remember about that experience as a kid?
I have such memories. I remember coming to WBLS, going to the radio stations and telling them that, look, I would want to change the world and sing about peace and sing about united music. Exactly what I was saying at 9, I'm doing right now. But if I listen back to that interview, which I have copies, I don't know who that kid is. I don't know what is happening. So it's something spiritual, but something written and meant to be. I met Sparrow at that function in Madison Square Garden. They held me up, and today I'm living in his footsteps and carrying on the baton.
It literally held you up because you were
What a blessing.
Imagine knowing at that young age what your career path is going to be, because I'm just thinking about what I was doing when I was a kid, and not only to have known back then, but to be here today and still thriving. Even the new project 1 Degree Hotter, amazing. There's not a lot of people who can say for the past 40 years I've been doing this and I haven't missed a step.
Yeah, I think it's a blessing, but it's a lot about focus and knowing what you want. When I started off, I really was singing Calypso with the Mighty Sparrow, and these guys are old guys, but I was young. I was 9 years old, so I'm looking around asking my parents, where are my peers? And when they took me to the club, they were listening to Buju Banton and Tainted Love, dun, 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 and lip syncing. They were lip syncing and dancing to New Edition and Belle Biv DeVoe. And when I started singing the Calypso, none of them liked it. They were really pissed off at me for bringing Calypso. So I said, and this was 11 years old, I went in the back and I said, what is happening? They don't like their own culture. Right. And then I realized it wasn't hip enough. It wasn't fresh enough. So I found my mission at 11 years old. I started to make soca music fresh. And I met with people like Pitbull. I met with Dougie Fresh. I met with, Boyz II Men. I kept doing collaborations, Ashanti, trying to get soca music to have that sort of young appeal. And then I saw a lot of younger people coming into the soca business, accepting it as something viable because now it has a style and has a sound. And I just patterned working with Beanie Man, Shaggy, Red Rat. I did all the legends,
I want to ask you about something Shaggy said recently, because people were mad about this.
I'm sure I know what it is.
About the band, right?
About no bands, right?
Yeah. No, and I do want to get your perspective because, and we'll talk about Tiny Desk in a second, because that was amazing. And I thought about it again, because before you came here, I was like, let's rewatch this, because I watched that Tiny Desk when it happened. First time ever that there was a soca artist on Tiny Desk, over 1 million views right away, just to put that out there. But when I was watching it again, I was like, man, listen, I was thinking about Shaggy, because people were up in arms about what he said about not having a band necessarily. But then I also thought about the flip side of how expensive it is when you are traveling with that many people, but also the experience of people coming out to see you and wanting to see all of that. So what are your thoughts?
Well, life is constant change. The only thing constant in life is change. And what might be happening on this side of the planet, we might be getting the moon right now, but some other side of the planet is getting the sun. So you have to look at the waves that is happening with Caribbean music. I mean, I love live music. I had a band since I was 9 years old. I took all my friends and I put all of them together. Some of them are really famous right now. Nice. Farmer Nappy, Patrice Roberts. They were all part of my band.
Yes.
Yeah, you understand? And I love live music. I remember being signed to Atlantic Records and they sent me out to I was signed to Delicious Vinyl before, and they had me perform with a DAT tape and 2 dancing girls. And I was missing my band. I was really craving it. But I remember being in London one time and walking into this club and seeing this guy with a 5-piece band singing. And I realized that, the people were paying attention to him. There was something magical happening. I went back home and I had to reconstruct the idea of a Caribbean band, because we had horns, 3 horn players, 2 background singers. We had like 15 people on stage. And I started the Ecstatic 5.0, which I copied from the Jamaican 5-piece band. Drums,
Ecstatic
bass,
5.0.
guitar. Yeah, and we had that band. So it kept changing. And then we had to bring in Ableton and we had to change. Now, people are cutting shows like Vibes Cartel with just the DJ, and people are seeing the economics of it. The concert economics is changing. So some people might choose no band and just do tracks. But I think you have to adjust it. If you can carry a drummer, a live bass player, a guitarist, you do that. But we
have
really,
some elements.
Yeah. Anytime you have live elements, it's always better. I love my live shows better because I could talk to the audience and I could manipulate the show while it's happening. I use a lot of technology, but we use it in a way that we're not being driven by the technology. The technology could follow us.
Right.
So if we want to come off script, we can come off script.
It's an assist.
And make magical moments in the night, because you never know what is going to happen with soca music. We relate to the crowd. Somebody might be up. A girl might be up on her boyfriend's neck, and she might be doing some guy might be climbing the scaffolding. You got to pay attention to that.
You have to be very present, right?
You have to be present and make it real. It's like I used to love watching the Grateful Dead, and they would have people tour with them every single night. Yeah. I'm fortunate to have that, because people know every night is a different show I do. I change up my set list. The band is right there, and okay, I'm moving this to here. I'm gonna do this here. Let's add in this song because it's the biggest song in this country or this city.
Yeah,
and
that's
we
a fact.
have to keep doing that.
When you think about even putting together that Tiny Desk, I was like, how do you chop this down to 20 minutes? Because
it's such a small, short
right,
set,
you have so many hits.
Yeah.
And so how were you able to even put that together the way that you did? I'm sure there were some songs that you were like, it was painful to not have them on there.
I mean, I love all of my songs, and they hold a different place in my heart. But I know the ones that are the signposts. I know the songs that mean something, what happened during that time. Like Dance With You is about me becoming spiritual and talking to God, and saying, look, God, I was studying Hindu religion at that time, and I know that Leela was the dance of life. But I was like sitting down saying, man, I wish I could be up there with you, God. And I was like, wait, Biggie sang Ready to Die, and he died. And then this one, I was like, okay, Machel, be careful of what you're singing lyrically. And I said, I just want to dance with you. So I want to come up and dance with you. But then I had to flip it to be about a girl. And it's a very spiritual song talking about girls, and the whole audience sings it all the time. So I had to put that in there. I had to put Like a Boss, which is one of the greatest road march hits ever. And the biggest challenge for us doing Tiny Desk was they said, look, no metronomes, no backing tracks. You have to do everything live.
Oh,
so
those are the rules.
Yeah, those are the rules. And we hadn't done that in 5-10 years. We were working with backing tracks and metronomes and click tracks.
Right.
What's metronome? What's that?
They keep the timing for the band like a click track. So everybody will have a click track in the air. They want you to go free wheel.
Wow.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, and everybody keep the timing.
Okay.
So you have to put your samples and they have to be in time.
Okay.
It's really skillful, but it shows that soca music and Caribbean culture could also be skillful.
The audience was
level.
lit in there. I was looking. I was
first
like,
time.
at the audience.
I was like, look at the audience.
I never seen a Tiny Desk audience before.
I don't think I have either.
You understand? You look at it, but it was like they
I would
were
have been on
so-
staff that day.
My boy
Trust
works
me.
there. I could have got us.
Trust me, there's a big meaning to Caribbean culture. You know, we have a lot of people who are here in New York in the mainstream like yourself, but they were born in Brooklyn, Flatbush, Church Avenue, and they have Caribbean roots. If you talk to Busta Rhymes, if you talk to Dougie Fresh, they all have Caribbean roots. And it's important when you go out in these mainstream places to visit your root and your root culture and talk about where your mom is from and your family. So I think, you know, we have a sort of unity and love in Caribbean culture that is going to be influential to the world at some point. And I think we're getting there. We had reggaeton and the Latin wave. We had Afro beats and that wave. And I think now the Caribbean wave is coming, which is a mixture of like Afro and Indo and Spanish and French. You know, so I look forward to what is going to happen for soca music. But platforms like Tiny Desk, you can see it in that audience and see it in the people who come out.
I was going to ask you, in terms of your set list, when you have shows and stuff, you have a set list, but do you switch it around when you see something happen in the crowd? And
the most important thing for me as an artist is to entertain myself first. I have to be also on board. You know, I was on tour with Pitbull already, and we do the same thing every night.
Yeah.
And I wonder, man, can I really do this? But I try to switch up my show to entertain me. You know, I remix the songs right there live. I have an Ableton guy who knows what I want, and I could do it too. So I could send him some things and say, let's switch this.
Okay.
Let's switch around these songs. We might land in Guyana, and they might have their favorite song is Guyana Babu, which is Indian song, and I have to learn that. I love to do that because the people tend to appreciate the fact that you're paying attention to their culture.
They feel special.
Yeah,
like,
and you have to be flexible like that. So I change my set. I'm very proud about that every single night. This show in Brooklyn coming up.
I was gonna ask, is you gonna?
We ain't never did that show,
Okay.
and we have some magical moments that we trying to pull off.
Okay.
Down to this last minute.
This is gonna be special. This is the first ever Planet Brooklyn Festival, and this is something that's never been done before with Planet Brooklyn, the Paramount Theater, and BAM. Angela Ye Day is the 23rd.
The day before.
Outside. It's a free event for the community, but the headlining event is Machel on Sunday on the 24th. So everybody got to make sure they check that out.
And I mean, Machel is just a big soca act, but we have the top of dancehall, Skinny
And Bungie's
Bang,
going to be there.
Ancient Bungie's the top of soca too. You know, we have Ravi B, who's the chutney soca, which for that Indian community. But also Molly is passing through.
Oh,
so Afrobeats is gonna be there. You know, we have some of the new kids in soca, Problem Child, Skinny Fabulous, Full
I love
Bloom.
Skinny Fabulous.
Yeah.
And you do such great work with these artists. It feels like anytime there's somebody new on the scene, you're right there.
That's how I stay young. That's how I stay young and fresh.
You are young, though.
They always ask me
People
that.
can say he's been doing this for so long, but we got to remember he was like 7 years old.
Yeah, you're a baby.
When he started. So it's like, I've been doing this 40 years, but I'm still young.
I'm still doing it at 17 right now.
How do you stay like current and stay fresh and young and relevant and all that stuff?
I have my company is called Monk Music, and it's a movement of now knowing. That's what Monk stands for.
Yep.
But I think it's about tradition, it's about technology, and it's about truth. So the tradition is the elders and the past culture. And then the technology is the young people and their visions. And you put those things together now. So I look at all the young people coming out and I respect what they're doing. And if I feel like they're innovating, I go to them and I say, teach me about your innovation and I'll give you my experience.
Okay.
So we blend those two things together. But the main thing is let's bring it to the now, to today, which is a true moment. What problems do we need to solve? What do we need to speak about? Who do we need to bring up in our communities? Who do we need to lift up? The voices of young girls. How do we, what do we need to pay attention to with my experience and your technology? What can we do today? So once we do records like that and we do shows like that and we relate to each other like that, there's something more meaningful than just music happening at our events and at our collaborations.
You also went to school and got your master's as well in carnival studies. I didn't even know that was a course that you could get a degree in.
Yeah. That was important for me. I am mapping the next 20 years of the vision, and I think, Caribbean culture is on another rise again. So I want to have a message. Bob Marley had a message, one love. And I want us to know what that message is, and to know where you're going, you have to know where you're coming from. So I went and do a little digging back into Carnival. Everybody thought Trinidad and Tobago is the mecca of Carnival, and then Brazil will say, no, we got the real Carnival, and then there's Grenada, Barbados, and Lucia.
Yeah.
But when I really went back and studied it, this is something that was born in ancient Egypt, in Africa. And it came across with the enslaved people, but it also went to Rome and Spain and Italy and France, and they now came and colonized our islands. So there was like French type carnival, Spanish type carnival, English type carnival happening alongside the African type carnival. And what is carnival? Carnival is about putting on costumes, putting on a mask. What do you do when you put that mask on? This physical body disappears and you become one with the gods. You're kind of communing with the gods. You're able to go beyond yourself because you're pretending to be something else. And if we all in the streets jumping up pretending to be something as one, it's a much bigger experience than being an individual.
Okay.
It's being together.
I love that.
And when you have that music happening, that's why people love to come back to Carnival and Trinidad and eat the food and drink the rum and see one another and hug up and feel like one.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think many types of music has that in its
one thing I also say about soca, what I love is that I feel like women have always been very included.
For sure.
With soca music. Like there are huge women. And even you working with a lot of women artists, but some of the biggest songs is women also. And that hasn't always been the case in different genres of music. But when I look at soca, I'm always like, okay, the women really represent.
You just hit a really serious point that I didn't know about, that I learned about in that Carnival Studies course. The men would sing about stick fighting, which came from Africa, and sing about warriors and stick fighting. But during their breaks, the women will sing songs to relieve them, like sing songs about their sexy shape and their figures and their faces. And this music was really attractive to the men. At one point in time, when the oppressors clamped down the singing of this violent music, the men adopted what the women were singing. These smutty, suggestive songs. And the women, just allowed it to happen and supported that. So they set the tone for what the new soca music was and the new calypso was. They played an important role. So it's always that balance of masculine and feminine. And I mean, we in a time when the feminine energy, we trying to reclaim what was suppressed and what was overlooked, and we trying to accept that. And I feel that, feminine energy is here to nurture all of us. We don't need to be so tough all the time and can't express our feelings, can't, conflict resolution. We don't know how to do it because we're trying to be all macho. You need to know that soft side. So I think it's important, and I think soca music represents that. We have shape, we have form, we have flow. We're not trying to be hardcore all the time or struggle.
It's a party, it's a celebration, it's unity, because that's what soca music is about. I love that we're talking about this master's degree that you got, and then you kind of educating us on the background, because some people might hear the music and think it's just party music and not understanding the evolution of it, and understanding calypso and soca and how related those two are. You'll say they're the same, soca and calypso.
Are they the same thing?
I mean, they're two different things, but I think calypso is soca and soca is calypso because
soca is soul of calypso.
Yeah, soca was the soul of calypso, and I mean, calypso was the the real essence music, but soca was beginning as the soul of calypso. Now it's the sound of the Caribbean. If you listen to these bouillon beats that coming out of Dominica, every single Caribbean island is adopting it. I could even hear it in Mali from South Africa singing a bouillon soca. Rema has something sounding similar to it because they all related to that Afro-Indo mix. But I really feel like, people think it's all about drinking, whining, sex, and fun. And we used to get a lot of flack from the Jamaican audience for that. They say,
I've definitely heard them act like it's not as serious.
Machel, I like them thing there. When I went to Bounty Killer, I said, yo, Bounty, I need to do this. Machel, I hear nothing about talk unless it's like Kevin Little kind of thing.
I love that impersonation.
And then 10 years later, I see Bounty in a soca fete liking it. And I pull up on him and I say, yo, he's like, all right, it's saying something now.
You got me.
Yeah, and even when we would go to Jamaica to play mass in the beginning, taxi drivers will see us jumping into their cars after the carnival with paint on, and they'll be like, yo, this devil thing, you know. So, but eventually, when you don't know something, you're stranger to it, so you will be kind of reserved. But I think now that they understand the depth of the culture, because once you experience it, you would understand that this is something to transcend the physical self and be bigger, which is the spiritual self, where we are all one and there's unity. And it's about that masking. So, you know, put the things aside, the drinking and the having fun and the frolicking. But this music is really uniting and liberating. And it's about love. And I think we need some of that in the world right now.
I agree with you. We do not. I feel like I'm practicing for a Trinidad Carnival because I haven't been.
Come on.
You go
I'm
first
nervous.
and then you bring me the. I don't think I can handle it. So you go
Come
first
on.
and then you tell me.
I don't know why I'm so nervous because I know it's going to be. It's a lot.
Those nerves will go out because you'll just be going.
How do we practice for Carnival? Like, what do we?
And then how long does the parade?
I need to stay up all night.
It's like 2 days. Like you start on the Monday. Okay, first of all, you start Juve morning, which is the muddy, dirty paint, chocolate. You start in the night, Carnival Sunday night.
We had Juve here in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Are you doing Juve in Brooklyn?
Me, I don't know. I'm kind of like.
It's a little different now.
I'm a pretty boy. Nah, I love Juve, but I'll probably.
You're not trying to get that paint on you.
Nah, I do run from it because of my hair.
Yeah.
Right.
But sometimes when you're thinking like that and you experience it and you realize the freedom and the liberation, you just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
People will come and smear things on you, and you'll and then you go to sleep at 6, 7, 8 a.m. and then come back out at 12 p.m. So 3-hour nap, come back out, put on some kind of dress down but nice clothes, do the Monday from 12 p.m. to midnight. And then you come out 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning all the way to midnight the next day. So it's like 3 days of nonstop. But trust me, you don't need to practice. Just
we might have missed our window. I don't know.
It's gonna be it's gonna be a.
I'll be like, I come out till 10 p.m.
Learn on the job.
Learn on the job.
You will go beyond your limits and realize that I didn't know I could party like that.
Yeah. Plus, I don't listen. Sometimes I'm not good at checking myself, so
that's good.
Dangerous.
We accept that. We accept that.
Now, look, you have this amazing song with Davido on the album too, and a video as well. You guys were in the studio having a time.
It was like had a ball.
So, talk to me about this link up, Fling It Up.
I mean, we were inspired to go to Africa and make that connection because of the Afrobeats music and the wave. We love what it's doing. We love the effect it's having on the Caribbean. A lot of these songs, the Burna Boys and the Wizkids, we've been bringing them to Trinidad for a while. We've been bringing Runtown, Timaya, been bringing Pato Rankin. And you know what we notice is that people don't know what they're saying, but we're singing along.
Right.
It's transcending lyrics, but we like Alibo, Shailo, everybody's singing it, and we thought something was really powerful about this, and we went back following our roots of our Afro music. And we wanted to make collabs and connections, and we worked with a lot of the writers who worked with Burna Boy, a lot of the producers, and we were there just building some songs for the next wave. And Davido kind of, stepped up to the plate and said he wants to do a soca song. And he wanted to.
Love that.
He's like, I don't want to do a collab where it's trying to go crossover. I want to do something hardcore and experience soca in Carnival. So we tried to build something that was current, and he liked it. We did about 3 or 4 different things. We still have records under the belt.
Ooh, okay, can't wait for that.
That we're gonna be touching soon. But we wanted this one for him to experience Carnival in Trinidad, and he came there on Carnival Friday. He did the show with us. We performed the song. He also had a taste of Juve,
Nice.
and so it was like him learning that experience. And I think it's important for African people to understand what we came to when they brought us across the ocean,
right?
And what we grew into, and let them understand their relationship to that. Because we have been busy going back to Africa. We went to Ghana with Mr. Easy for the return year. And, we trying to make those connections constantly.
What I love, too, is the point of the unity of it's not a competition. Because some people will try to pit, like, Afro beats against dancehall, against soca, when really we can all exist and like do great collaborations, bring each other and educate each other, about different things. Because there's different iterations of things, too.
But it's not even different things. If you look at the beats, we share the same beats: reggaeton, Afrobeat, soca.
People didn't like reggaeton; they were mad about that.
Yeah.
And
you're always mad when it's new and you feel challenged. But if for years we have been all trained to represent our uniqueness, oh, my country has this food, we have the best food, you know. It's like, okay, rice, peas, and chicken is callos con pollo, pilau, cook up. It's the same thing.
It's the basics of every.
It's the basics of every.
Jollof.
So you
Like,
understand?
what's the best jollof?
Come on. So understand this, right? Ghana. Understand? I will get in trouble for that. No, but seriously, I mean, we've been celebrating our uniqueness for a long time. I think it's really beneficial for us to start looking at celebrating our similarities,
right?
Because then we laugh about it. We can't believe, hey, we have that too. Oh, look at this beat, look at that beat. You know, dancehall influenced reggaeton. The Shabba records, we grew up on these Shabba Ranks records and these, you know, Murder She Wrote records by Sly and Robbie, and now all of them being used in that music. And we still love reggaeton. We love Bad Bunny and we love J Balvin. You know what I'm saying? So I think we have to start looking beyond, and if we want real numbers, we want to be touching billions of audiences.
Yeah, those collabs, those crossover collabs is what really does it. I wanted to flash back to you talking about being signed to Atlantic and Delicious Vinyl. Yeah. How was that for you culturally? Because that wasn't like they had a lot of artists that, I don't know if they had any soca artists signed to Atlantic. And and you talked about having just like a DJ, 2 dancers. So what was that process like of trying to educate them on what it was that you do and what was needed?
It was hard for me. You know, it was really hard. I was coming from being an established act. And I mean, every time I went to one of these deals, like when I went to Delicious Vinyl, I had Come Dig It. We shot that video on the Eastern Parkway. It was getting there. We got signed to Capitol Records, and then Capitol Records merged with somebody like Warner, and then we were dropped because everything was on the desk. So there were always things that I thought would happen and didn't happen then. Over the years, there have been some soca songs that got a look, like Tempted to Touch by Rupee and Turn Me On by Kevin Little, Hot 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 by Arrow, and Who Let the Dogs Out. But, you know, but we didn't have that constant flow of people asking us, what do we think soca needs to cross over? And I think that work has to happen. It's been happening with people like Machel and Bungie and Kess and Nyla Blackman, all the new soca artists. But we have such a responsibility to carnivals, which is Trinidad Carnival, Jamaica Carnival, Barbados, St. Lucia, that we have to keep the music hardcore most of the time. So we're trying to cross over, but we still have a responsibility to be very hardcore. And I think what is the hardcore music wouldn't work. So I went to Delicious, and the tough time was at Atlantic. They would put me with the best. I was signed by Ahmed Ertegun, who signed Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles, and I met with him, and he was like, yeah, Machel, we'll send you to London to do that 2-step Craig David kind of thing. You
were like, what?
And I'm watching this guy who's a legend, and I'm excited. I'm very excited for that. But then I go out there, and they put me in the top rooms with all the best producers and writers, and they're pulling beats off the shelf. And they're saying, okay, I think he's like a Cisco with Sean Paul with Michael Jackson.
Oh, my God.
Make him a record. And, you know, they would just be trying to do these things, and they're moving so fast. I didn't think it was what was necessary for soca music at the time. I tried to play them some soca records to tell them this is what it sounds like and this is what it means, but nobody has that time. They flew me to Sweden. I worked with Merlin Music. They flew me to Norway. I worked with Stargate, who did all the Rihanna records. And I was trying to advance soca. They were trying to make hits with some Caribbean feeling. And there was a disconnect there because I know my responsibility to my audience was to take
right, because you know,
so
you can't veer too far off that, because they'd be like, what is happening? Is he trying to...
I would lose.
Sometimes you're chasing something and it's
Sell
not
out.
the essence of...
Sell out. Sell out.
And then some people don't never come back from that, too.
Yeah.
Once you cross over and try to do mainstream things, you might have like a couple of big hits, but then it's hard to ever come back.
Fans are upset then.
I remember when I had to walk away from one of the deals, my manager at the time was saying, look, listen, just do what they want for now, and then when you get through, you could do what you want. I said, but by the time I get through doing what they want, I wouldn't be me. So I want to get through, you know, with what I am, and I just had to walk away from that. But the positive was, this happened to me 3 times in my life, signed and come back home and didn't make it happen. Every time I came back, I was able to bring the knowledge of the major industry and apply it to the local market. and move my entire industry forward and set the example for a lot of young people who coming up behind me. And, I'm still here today. I still feel I could do something, new and different. I'm always trying.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep doing it because I believe this is a mission that would influence those who are coming up and inspire them.
To even still like party, that was like the big carnival song for the season.
Biggest song.
That was, yeah. And to, here we are at 2025, and you've been standing for it's just incredible.
Up against the youngest, the smartest, the brightest, and I've been working with all of them. The biggest record out of Trinidad is Greatest Ben Over, Sean Paul remix, Molly and Chloe Bailey remix. This was on Monk Music. We brought that out. The group that writes that whole rhythm, they wrote for me for 12 years, and they have their own song called Good Spirits. So we celebrating a lot of wins, and I just think like to have Party, which was Road March, and not only Road March, I've been to every island since then, and it's the biggest song. Everybody sings about
it really was.
It's a positive message about working hard, and it's something special always happens, but it means that we are still getting the looks because of our energy and our openness and willingness to work with the youth and to change and to transform. And we think there's a lot of good things happening out there. Afrobeats and soca, that the Davido and Machel collaboration, Fling It Up, is one of the ones that we love the most, but we got to sit with Davido and introduce him to soca.
Yeah.
And now we have some records that we want to play for
I
Riri.
can't wait to hear those.
Riri, we have Riri records, Tyler
Ooh,
records.
don't play.
We want to introduce
I
them
love
to that.
it.
So
And y'all look like y'all was
dope.
really having a good time from the footage that we saw in the studio. It
Most
looked
amazing.
authentically like
Times
no
Square.
women around, but the guys are
Yeah.
partying.
We were in
I
the
love
studio.
that.
We were in the studio in
Studio,
Times
yeah.
Square,
Yeah.
and his
Oh,
whole,
y'all in the studio here.
yeah, and his whole team. We went to see Davido perform, and then we went back to the studio. And I mean, he brought like 50 guys in there, and I talk
Yeah.
about
I love
young
that.
kids.
No, it looked like
He
it
had
was
his-
a time.
Yeah, I love that.
Trust me, if I show you the real footage, you wouldn't believe. We had to hold him back from pouring stuff into the mixing
You're like, guys,
board.
we still in the
We had
studio.
to-
Everybody calm down.
It was
Right.
such
love
This
that.
equipment is
energy.
expensive.
Even when we went to Nigeria and we worked with Rage, who did Unavailable, who produced this, after the song that we did together, we had everybody in the studio waving like this, playing the song for like 3 hours back to back to back to back to back, which means this is the Caribbean version of that Afrobeat sound that we want to introduce to you. We just have to get the right mixture and the right tempo and temperature, and we're gonna get it out.
Now, did you laugh when Ciara was at Trinidad and she shouted you out? But
Yeah.
your
Right.
name for people, if they don't, is a little hard for
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
You don't have the easiest name.
Listen, I've been getting Machel. I mean, just remember, I was named after the president of Mozambique back in 1974, Samora Machel. His wife married Mandela after his passing.
Oh, wow.
So Mandela's wife was Gratica Machel. And that's where my name comes from. But a lot of people don't know it. They don't know it. So they try to pronounce it and they say Montana. But to me, I love that because, they'll be talking about that guy.
Yeah.
That guy who moves the audience that way. And then you bring people in to learn who you are.
Yeah.
So
That was cute, though.
I understood that she didn't get it. And,
It was her first time at Carnival too.
And-
It's amazing to me how many people still like. If you're like, oh, some people don't really even know what a soca song is or have heard it. To be honest, like obviously I'm from Brooklyn, so that's something we grew up hearing. But there are literally people who are like, what's soca?
And everything I know is through Angela because she's my close friend. So that's my point of
Listen.
reference. I didn't grow up in Brooklyn.
Listen,
it's
know
a
when-
work. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But I bet you if you come and you experience the experience, because soca is tied to carnival, and that's somewhat of a curse and a blessing.
Right.
Meaning that you have to come to carnival and play mass, and it's a localized thing. It's not built for the radio or for times when you want to be sad. It's all happy sometimes.
Oh, you can't be sad at no damn carnival.
Exactly.
That would be weird.
But
Even
that's
No one's gonna let you.
But
be
you know
sad.
what's good? When you see people at Carnival, they could be working, remember they was sweeping, but they dancing, sweeping, winding up on people while they're cleaning and
Yeah.
they're working.
Everybody.
It's like the cops, yeah, you're right. Everybody's having fun.
People have loans, people have stress, people break up. They take a break from their relationship and they come to carnival, and then they get back to that after.
Right. Unless they're on video winding up on somebody and their girl don't understand. Because
No, but even that is understood.
No, it's not.
free.
Some people don't do
It's not
that.
understood here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
don't understand.
Okay.
unless you have been, like, oh yeah.
Listen,
Oh,
like
man.
this.
bring the family, bring the wife, bring the girlfriend. Let them experience the kind of love and unity, and it's like a safe
My man is
space.
not letting nobody
Wind up on you.
Yeah, at all, period.
It's not all about that, though.
But it can happen.
Yeah,
you know, it always can happen. Yeah. But congratulations on everything. I love this. You also are teaching a course, right?
Yes.
So talk to us about that so people can get information, because from hearing this conversation today, this might be, I think it sounds really interesting for anybody who, I think for musicians and artists today, we got to make sure that we also get that knowledge and that education, because I think that only helps you move forward and advance in your career.
We definitely want to open up people to what's happening right now. The technology wave, digital transformation is important for Caribbean artists. A lot of them, we don't have that solid mainstream record company industry. A lot of people just putting out their music on YouTube, releasing stuff, trying to get this stuff on the radio. Sometimes radio is not even that important to them anymore. But, teaching them about the business side of things helps them to understand, how serious of a career this can be. We could save communities, we could save kids. There's a lot of things that we up against, like the new wave of violence and the guns and the drugs, and a lot of the youths are choosing music. But now we have to teach them that it's not all fun and games. It's a business. And sometimes when we show them the back end of how fun it could be and how serious, it helps develop their minds, develop them as human beings. They become more respected, but then they become business.
Right.
Well, not businessmen, but a businessman.
Yeah.
We show them how to be a business and to help all their peers around them, their community, their parents. So we have a sound bridge program that my management and myself, we try to teach them and introduce them to all the producers that we work with, explain to them about royalties, about marketing, about production, about every aspect of the business, live performance. And I'm doing a master class because I've been through all the departments of it, and I wear those hats in my everyday life. I produce, I write, I record, I design, everything. So we want to share that knowledge with the younger generation on a digital platform, something that they can pull up on their phones, on their tablets, on their website, with technology that's happening right now, streaming, teaching them about the changes of streaming and distribution and all these things, empower them with knowledge. Man,
that's amazing. I love that. And I also want to ask you this. We had a debate before you came in here. And I was saying,
I love
you
these
like
debates.
this? Okay. So we were saying, and this is this is Nick. He's a DJ also. He works here. He calls you the Jay-Z of soca, just so you know. He was like, Machel's a Jay-Z of soca.
Yeah, he said he'll take that.
Yeah, because when you said a businessman, I was like, yeah. But we were like, who could he do a versus against ever? And we were trying to come up with some ideas of what would be a good competition for you.
Well, truth be told, I was supposed to do Verzuz during the pandemic. I was approached by Swiss Beats to do Machel versus Bungie.
That's what I said. Oh, thank you. He said Kes. And I said it's a different vibe. Kes is amazing and huge. But I was like, I could see him and Bungie doing, and thank you. Okay, go ahead.
That was it. And I mean, I was down for it, but at that time, it was a time that I was going inward. I used the pandemic to turn inward. I spent the first year in the jungle, the first 6 months living in the jungle in a wooden house, and then I decided to pick up myself and go to India. And I went to India to an ashram to study meditation. I was going there while people were dying on the sides of the streets. And, it was risky. But I went to a place where I wanted to learn yoga and meditation and rehash my body and my mind. And I learned to eat different. I learned to sleep different. I just came back from there during carnival time. Carnival studies, I was studying so much. I was eating. I lost 40 pounds in 3 months.
Wow.
Eating good food and meditating. And so now I have a different approach. So at that time, when they wanted to do that battle, I wanted to go inwards. I wasn't in a position to go outward. And I said, yeah, maybe in the future we'll think about it, because Bungie and I, we wouldn't go battling head to head. We have hits.
Yeah.
We have catalog.
And y'all have songs together too.
We have songs together, so it could be a whole different showdown. I'll consider it now because I'm out. But I always do yin and yang. I always have a time when I go in, and then I come out to share what I've learned with new music, new energy, new thought process. And
it's nice that you have the luxury to do that too. Some artists are scared to take a break.
Yeah.
Because they don't, people feel like, man, people are going to forget about me. But I feel like you have such a solid, strong foundation. I know it's been a few years since even the last album came out and then putting this out too.
Well, you have to take a risk because I was told that the first time I tried to take a year off is when I was signed to Atlantic Records, and I said I was taking the year off back in 2000 to 2001. And one of the big Calypsonians, Iowa George, said, don't do that. If you ever do that, that'll be the end of you. They'll never want to hear you again. But I knew it was something that I had to do. And I did it. And I came back. 2001, 2002 was a little rough, but I came back in 2003 with the biggest soca record of all time, Is Carnival with Destra. You understand? Nicki Minaj sings that song. Cardi B sings that song. Everywhere people go, I sang that song at Barclays and turned the whole place up.
Yeah.
It was the biggest record. But every time I've taken a step back and come back, I always come back bigger.
It works.
And I have that history. So I think that should be a lesson that that's a myth.
Right.
And the myth has been busted. You take some time off and you go and do the right things, you can come back with a fresh perspective. I know about that FOMO and fear of missing out and all those things, but the universe is always in your favor if you're doing the right things.
Was there ever a time that it was rough? I know you just said it was a couple of years that was rough, but like I said, you've been consistent. But was there ever a time that it was like, man, I don't know what's going on?
Many times.
Really?
I've been through 3 or 4 of those. I remember one in 2006, I had the biggest record and a hit, and 2007 I had Chumby. But before that, let's go back to the 2003. We did Is Carnival, it was big. 2004, we had a low year. 2005, I went back in. I was trying to do a Rastaman vibe, singing about no war and tying up my head like Sizzler and trying to make reggae soca. And the Rastamen were like, man, you can't do that. I was trying to get spiritual with the kete drum music in soca. I have a song called Higher Than High with a kete drum. And I was really genuine about it.
Yeah.
And, I was a bit lost. And I thought, man, I looked to give up. And then I met with Wyclef. And Wyclef told me, come out to his studio in New York. We came to his studio. We recorded a whole album together. That's how we have Is Carnival, the song that we have together. I went to the Hamptons, rented a house, took the whole band. That's where I wrote Dance With You, which is one of my biggest records. So sometimes when you're in this low spot, you just have to retreat. Go somewhere, go with people you love, and try to look inward. A low is always the beginning of another high.
Oh, I like that. We got to use that as a bar right there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. We really appreciate it. Don't forget the 24th, Planet Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You are the headlining act. And maybe you said you would revisit this, this Verzuz. Who knows? That could potentially happen.
We will have fun.
I'm just glad I was right.
But guess what? It's happening at Planet Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's happening at Planet
Bungie is
Brooklyn.
going to be there.
Yep.
He's opening up.
You got some surprises, you said?
Skilly Bang, Asian, Molly is coming out. Might have a couple little twists.
Listen, he done had songs with
twist.
everybody, so I can't even imagine what type of surprises we're going to have in store for us.
Is the
but even
biggest
just
show.
you alone is,
This is the
it's
biggest
lit
show.
regardless.
Biggest show for this summer for Caribbean music.
Party done.
Also. Party. Oh my, Angela. Another great one. Ange is the greatest.
She's always playing that and always saying that.
Well, also because you say my name all throughout the beginning of the song,
Angela got the
She love that joint.
Have that on repeat.
She love that joint.
Yeah, we love that one too. That was a special record.
That's a special
Big
record.
up Angela Hunt.
Well, thank you so much again. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, ladies, for flying the flag for us and doing your thing and keeping that positive energy running. Hope to see you guys in Barclays Center
don't play
Sunday.
with us. This is a true legend here right now. This don't
Get your
happen
braids,
often.
get your braids done by Angie's show event on Saturday,
Yes,
and then
my
come by
girl
me
Destiny.
in Barclays Center for me to mess it all up.
Yes, they will.
Such a marketing genius.
I love it.